I will introduce Michele Britton. I think many of you know Michele, perhaps already.
I do have a stack, so
Michelle's the project engineer for the Belfair Freight Corridor with DOT, and commissioners requested that since this is such a big project within our county, that we set up some quarterly meetings and reports with the state to make sure that we're tracking and on point and plugging in when we need to plug in. And so this is the first of those meetings, and Michele will give us kind of an overall project timeline, status report, and we can finish up with making sure that commissioners have what you need and set up our future meetings.
Before we begin, for the other commissioners that don't know, I've had the opportunity to work with her, and she's exceptional. She was the one that kept everybody sane during the construction in Belfair and had to deal with more issues than you could ever imagine, including the holding pumps floating away and many other things, the fencing. I think we're very lucky and honored that you are the one that we're going to be dealing with here.
And I know this is Kevin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was your last name?
Shuty, S-H-U-T-T-Y.
And then I don't know. Sharon Trask. Okay, so you replaced Terry. Oh, Terry, okay. Okay. All right.
Yeah, he's the one that replaced him.
Okay. Yeah, okay, so just to go over kind of, I put together a little PowerPoint presentation. I don't know if she's going to be able to get it up or not, but you do have some handouts. So that at some point in the last session, they changed the title. It used to be called SR3 Belfair Bypass. It is now titled SR3 Freight Corridor New Alignment. So I've been trying to convert myself into saying that. Some of you might remember me from the 2005, 6, 7 time period. I was the design project engineer that selected the alignment back when we first pulled this. The state was still first given that $15 million. And so I have a lot of history with it and some of that, and then it's kind of moved on after me, and so there's a little bit that we'll go through. So the second page you have is kind of just a vicinity map that shows the location. And so it starts at Lake Flora, goes kind of along the track, kind of missing all the wetlands. That was when we recited it from the original county alignment. That was our goal, was to miss all the wetlands. So it kind of wiggles around in and out of the wetlands and missing as many as possible, and then connects up at the SR 302 highway, which is Victor. A lot of people call it Victor. So some things that we've done already, you've probably seen this slide before. In 2007, after many open houses and meetings with the public, we selected all alternatives. N3 and S4, which are later in this section. I put some blow-ups of those so that can remind you where we left off. There was a proviso report that was done in 2010. I was not involved in that, but there are several recommendations that were sent forward from that report. I think some of them were addressed in the EA, but I need to just double check that all of those recommendations have either been accepted or put to bed, one or the other. So there's like 3 of them. There was an environmental assessment done. It got through as far as getting signed by everybody, but there was no finding of no significance. The feds do not do a finding of no significance without construction funding. That is just not what, they don't do that. So, and even if they did, after 3 years, an EA is expired. So it wouldn't have mattered anyway. But I've been told that an EA is required only if you impact over 1 acre of wetlands. What I have seen from the EA is that there is no federal nexus that I can see, and neither can an environmental office. Right now, if we can stay under 1 acre with Connecting Washington funds, which are state funds, there will be no need to redo the EA. We could go through SEPA. So we'll be keeping an eye on the wetland. We'll have to go get them remapped make sure nothing's expanded, see if we can miss some more, I don't know. We're gonna really watch that part of the design very carefully, because if you get kicked off back into EA, then you're pulling up all those documents and redoing them. So, just a reminder of what's in TEIS. We have $66.9 million. Technically, it was supposed to start in July of 2019. They advanced a few $100,000 for me to get started, and we advertised late last year for a consultant. My office is mainly a construction office. I don't have a lot of design staff, so I'm hiring parametrics. You probably saw the paper that we selected parametrics. So that works. I'm getting them on contract right now. But preliminary engineering will start in full in July, and there's kind of a little schedule here on this third page here. Right away, August 2020 through August 22. If it goes design build, that could go extend further. If the design builder wants to do something a little different, you could get into more right away. And then construction right after that. So parametrics I'm in the process right now of getting them on. This is kind of some of the major things that they're going to be working on first. They're going to be updating a traffic analysis. So we have the benefit of having a traffic analysis that was done 10 years ago, which is really nice because we can go look to see, did we guess the right growth factors? We've got 10 years now. We can go look again and say, okay, that was a bad growth factor. This is what it did in 10 years. It's really nice. We're going to be able to have a little better understanding of the growth around here, and that's very helpful because then you don't overbuild. There we go. Next slide. There we go. So the other thing that we're going to do is part of the consultant's job is we're going to initiate a corridor working group. And you may want to replace this meeting with putting somebody on the corridor working group and supplementing it with just occasional presentations from the staff, myself or the consultant. But the corridor working group is going to have Kitsap County on it. Anybody that's a stakeholder we'll put on it. So that's one of their jobs. We'll start looking at that. So if you have anybody that you need to be on that let me know. And then open houses and community engagement will start probably in several months. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 months before you see any announcements on open houses. But we will start that up before the July date. And then I put the EA on here because we're going to always be keeping an eye on that with the wetlands. So I put, if you go back up one slide, other way.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Hit the left arrow twice. There you go. So I just wanted to let you know where we left off and what was selected back at the time, and just kind of some things that I've thought about, knowing what I know now, because I'm working on another big design job out on Bainbridge. So one of the things that 10 years ago when we selected this alignment, our design manual said that if you have to have intersection control, that you had to have a warrant for a signal. Now what it says is the first thing you look at when you have to do intersection control is it warranted to put in a roundabout, and then you have to justify going to a signal. So I already know that this signal here, we have to go back and look to see what the appropriate intersection control method is. I also know stuff has changed, and that's got to all be assessed on the corridor. I think this goes through the grow operation that's on the end here, I think. And then on the other end, on the other end, S4, which is the next slide, is the south connection. Not a lot has changed there, but I've talked with the school, and I know that their stormwater is in the wooded area there next to the football field. And so there's probably some adjustments that can be made here. And if we go with the roundabout, how does that change stuff? you know, and can we keep the football fans into their group? And so this will be a definite work. We have to make some adjustments here to get everything to work properly, so. And then I pulled out of, this is some from the work from the EA, I pulled the roadway section you have in your packet there that shows what the project manager that was on it before me put into the EA. So this is what they evaluated the environmental stuff based on. Was two 12-foot lanes, an 8-foot inside shoulder, and a 10-foot outside shoulder is what they want to build to, with room for a future 4-lane. That's what was in the EA. So that's kind of where we left it. Now for the next steps after July, we need to get moving into design plans, actual plans. The first thing we'll do is go through the delivery method selection. So there's a form we have to fill out, and I believe that it's going to come out as a design build. So this is a different, I don't know, has the county done any design builds yet? Are you familiar with that?
Okay. I don't remember anything.
So it's a little different. With the traditional design bid build, you put together the plans, everything you want them to build, and it gets bid on, and the contractor will build it. With the design build job, you do about 30% of the design, and then you request, you go into the design build process where you request teams to be formed. You request qualifications. It's called a request for qualifications, and they design consultants and contractors will form a team, and they'll come in and they'll tell you what they can build it for, and then they do the rest of the design. It depends on how it gets set up, but I think that's how this will end up.
Is that accurate when it comes to the funding?
They still bid. They still bid, just like a regular bid project. They have a bid. It's called best value when you get into that process. So, and I can, if you want, I can give a little more information about it. Maybe give you a little presentation on design build, maybe the next time.
Yeah, or send me a link, either one.
Yeah, there's like a little design build 101, I think, PowerPoint presentation that I could send you guys, because I think that's where we're headed, and it's a little different.
It is. Next week, Brian Whitehouse will be here to talk about the Coffee Creek project.
Okay.
And that is
It's design build,
a design
yes.
build project as well.
Yeah. That one's a little different in that they actually had 2 NTPs on that job where the contractor had to go get NEPA.
Yes.
And so they had the first NTP that said go, and then they had to tell them what they were going to do. They had to actually go by right away, and they had to redo NEPA because they put the creek in a different location than the 30% design was. See, and that's the danger. Is we could have this design, 30%, and they could say, yeah, but if you did this, you could save $5 million, and then all of a sudden maybe we're buying different right away. So that's why I haven't really thought it through completely, but maybe that middle portion, you buy the right away, maybe the end points, you kind of lag on that.
Will those people be meeting with us at that time for having the discussion best use for us, for our county?
For what?
At that point, when they start talking about that, will we be part of that discussion with them?
The design builder?
Yeah,
Design builder.
if they're only doing 30%, leaving the rest out there, and there'll be some of those discussions on what's might be easier and better.
They'll be required to do the same kind of stakeholder meetings that we do, that we're going to start up now. They just take that over from parametrics, and WSDOT's still involved, but parametrics would no longer be involved. Parametrics would be precluded from being on a team. That's how that works with design build, because they would have a advantage. So you'd end up with a new design team. That's the bad part. But anyway, that is the end of my presentation. One thing to keep in mind is this is a limited access facility. So that means the EA, I did review the EA. It allows others to connect up in certain areas. But those would be public, we'd work with you and it would be public roadways. So like, I think it's, the EA allows it at Romance Hill and at the county line. Those are the two locations that were allowed in the EA. And that also precludes longitudinal utilities within the right of way. So we'll want to get any utility companies online so that they can purchase adjacent right of ways to be outside. So we'll want to make sure we keep
When do you
in
need
contact
that?
with them.
When would they need to be available?
Well, I think we might want them sitting on the coordination team so that they're always, they can choose to go or not go based on the agenda. But clearly, you're gonna have to fund reading the utilities manual. There may have to be some funding element that the sewer district needs in order to get their own rights of way. And then I've talked with the utilities engineer. There's also requirements about crossing, which I know we're gonna have to cross because of your facility that's on the hill. So that's something that we wanna make sure that we work together on so that we get a crossing right there at the sewer. Well, there's actually probably already one there, isn't there?
Yes, you're gonna cross it already.
Yeah,
we're gonna cross, but
it's
we-
probably already there.
But
Yeah.
do we have anything, we don't have a pump or anything up there, do we?
No,
Yeah.
there's the force main from the lift station at Romance Hill all the way to the plant.
And do you have like an easement on their property then?
The existing, yes, it's an easement.
Okay.
But aren't we going to the outside of that?
She's talking about the existing line it'll actually kind of go.
So
perpendicular to the
if you
plant.
back up, well, that's okay. If you look at the, I don't know where you're at in here, but
Yeah, to me,
where we have to cross, where so like, where you at in here?
I don't think it's gonna show.
It's not, 'cause it,
Approximately Romance
I don't
Hill.
think we'll have.
About
the
Romance Hill?
locations.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know if we can even see, I can't tell. Sand Hill. Yeah. But we'll have to cross, there's a crossing that goes down the hill, right? Does it go down Romance Hill, your force main? Yeah. So I don't know, when we start looking at we're purchasing rights of way, probably what will happen is we'll meet with real estate services and you guys, we have to figure out, it has to be cased and everything, and there's all kinds of stuff, and I'm sure we'll be paying for that, because that's an impact, but any new ones, then you guys will have to pay. We'll pay for where we're impacting you, you're already there. The
What about
job
to
will pay for it.
have anything on the other side of the bypass?
Which side?
That's where we'll have crossings.
That's what I'm trying to.
We'll need to have planned
Because we're talking about
crossings.
Romance Hill, that's all that stuff, and the plan is on this side, we're
Yeah.
not crossing yet.
Yep.
So that, yeah, that's, I mean, it's certainly, if there's development plans out there and we need to be putting crossings in as part of our job paid for by others, then, I mean, there's gonna be lots of different little things like that happen as we get going.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And the utility, we should be thinking about having a joint utility corridor and getting with our water system providers, obviously, sewer. PUDs expressed an interest, so it would be best to have a joint corridor for all and plan accordingly.
What happens if Belfair Water doesn't have the money to do that? If they don't, they've already bonded out to do the movement of the pipe, remember, during the widening, to the point to where they're one of
Yeah,
those,
they're
that's for the
taxed.
state, yeah.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's a problem.
Interesting, okay. We'll work on it.
But if they've got customers, you know,
And/or future customers.
Yeah, it would be future customers, there isn't nothing there
Exactly.
for them to go.
right,
Yep.
maybe just a line on a map that nothing goes in, and water's always higher anyway. That's one good thing about it is you don't want your water under your sewer.
Right.
It's usually one of the highest utilities anyway, so, I mean, in that respect, that's a good thing.
Michele, so what would be a drop dead then when we would want to have our utility planning? somewhat solid for the design aspect,
Well,
given what you know today.
so if we start purchasing right away, this says August 2020. If we actually start purchasing right away in August 2020, you're gonna know where we're at. You're gonna
Mirror
want
that.
to either, yeah, you're gonna be right adjacent to it, right? Along the corridor. Maybe not all of it, but I mean, some of it's probably, you're probably wanna do at the same time. And, we can meet with real estate services to see what our options are as far as, whether or not you can, contract with, our guys so that only one appraisal's done instead of two appraisals, and you know
Yep.
how it can get.
Yeah.
Um,
And then,
That way you don't hit the property owner twice too. They don't have to deal with us and you know what I mean? So definite coordination would be helpful for everybody.
and if the utility install and acquisition were part of your design build contract, when would we need to know that by?
Well, usually we don't install, I wasn't thinking we were gonna be installing.
Is
the
that, well, I guess
utilities.
that would be the first
It-
question.
Yeah.
Is that
we
a
can meet with
possibility
some-
if we had some type of an agreement
Yeah.
to do that?
I do not know. It's something that would have to be worked out. We'd want to talk with the utilities office, and management would definitely want to chime in on that. Utility corridors are usually pretty difficult. However, when you're building on virgin land, it's
Exactly.
probably the easiest one you can put in. I mean, you know. But we wouldn't want to be designing it. We're not experts in electrical. We're not experts in
Right.
sewer. I mean, we're just not, you know,
Yeah,
kind of not our thing.
yeah,
So,
okay.
and I don't know, have you ever done a utility corridor with joint utilities?
Not at this scale, no.
I would think it'd be pretty challenging. It's like, how much room do you need and who pays for what? That's the hard part, is each utility has to pay for part of it. And it's like, if you excavate, do I get a third, you get a third?
Right.
You know, what about the guy that doesn't have any money that's gonna come in later?
Yep.
I'm not sure the department would wanna get involved in that.
Yeah.
So, it can be really complicated. I put one in Edgewood, but it was with the existing utilities. We were working around existing utilities, and it was a nightmare, I have to tell you. Construction-wise, it was not fun.
I don't think it should be too difficult with PUD, they'll work with it. I'm
No.
more worried about the water.
Yeah, I'm thinking at a minimum, at least having the corridor and having a design of what utility is placed where, meaning the
Yeah.
separation requirements, and this is your space, and
Do you
you've
wanna
got
go
space
overhead with your
for-
power?
Exactly, so
Yeah.
that there's a plan
Yeah,
addressing how utilities will be placed.
yeah, and do they meet the rules, all the different rules that
Yep.
each of the utility has? Yeah. It's certainly not something I'm an expert in. You probably have a lot more knowledge about it than I do,
A
Loretta.
little, maybe. Not, I wouldn't say expert either.
Yeah.
Okay, and then commissioners, do you have questions about the community input portion? Where are we plugging in? How frequently are we plugging in? What are the checkpoints that you would like to see to feel comfortable that Mason County's interests are being heard as part of the design process?
Commissioners?
Well, as long as we're on that committee and we're doing the other things, as I said before, I've worked with her before. I already know that it'll be well handled and there's not gonna be an issue, from past experience. Literally, issues that we had, I was able to go to her direct, she handled them. She went and reached out and handled them before it ever got out of
Yes,
control.
you still don't have any fence at Roselle.
Yeah.
Of course, I can't control the drunks.
But no, I already know that we're gonna have the outreach, they'll provide excellent outreach out there. It's gonna be good, as long as we're moving forward and going. And we're kept in the loop. I'm happy.
Well, once I get parametrics on board, we will create that, that coordination group, what did we call it? Corridor, and I, you know, I'm not really sure how this is gonna go, because I'll tell you my experience on 305. So Highway 305 is another connecting Washington job that I have going. And for that job, we have both a technical team and a working group team, and the political representatives are on the working group team, and the technical team is made up of mostly public works people. I don't know if we'll get to that level. It's a little different when you don't have to worry about modifying existing facilities, although we do down in your Alta neighborhood. So who knows? It might change, is my point.
And I think I already told you the representatives from that area that I've talked to are very happy that they're working with you and that you're doing a great job with them on 305. So
Still not sure how we're gonna deal with the southern end though.
I have an idea.
Is there any other, I saw somebody pointing.
Michele, is there anything you need from us to help make your life
We're
easier
just getting
through this
started. The reason I
process?
didn't bring parametrics is because I really don't even have them on contract yet. We're working on their scope right now and their hours. And once I have them going, I think we'll bring them in and introduce you, especially once we get going on the traffic analysis, because they're going to be, we've been told both by SCJ, Tara Black talked to me about the project, the Log Yard Road.
Yes.
And just her evaluation of the model that she used was, it's old. It really needs to be updated. Her and I talked, and I've worked with Tara before, back when she was in Thurston County, and she said it really just needs updating. And so we are gonna make sure that we get accurate data before we get going, because we need to make sure we're doing the right thing. So that's probably, once we get that done, we'll probably wanna meet again.
Okay. Actually, prior to that, I would love to get out, when you have your game plan and if you're doing updated counts, I would like to coordinate
Oh.
actually on the local network
Okay.
to make sure that we're getting that piece and looking at the system as a whole.
Yeah, because the old traffic analysis talks a lot about like Razor Road connections and
Right.
different little things that may or may not still be important to the county. So,
I think getting a good grasp of what the freight traffic is to North Mason Fiber will be very important.
what? What's North Mason?
The Log Yard Road
Oh, okay.
that we've talked about.
That's changed a lot over the years since there's been any type of
Well,
study.
and will continue to change and grow, I think, in the near future, and that's part of the concern. We want to make sure that that's correctly reflected in the design.
The last study that was done, did they do the count down by the McDonald's down the hill down there, or did they do it up above? It'd be huge if they didn't do it up above, because there is a 250,000 metric tons moving through there a year, and up to 350,000 metric tons now.
So Bill Elliott did a summary, a project summary that included a lot of the different reports, like the transportation discipline study. He had the alternative analysis that came out of the time that I was there, the proviso report, any kind of little things that's got a good section on traffic analysis that shows where the counts are, and I can send that to you.
Okay,
It's,
great.
it brings everything together.
Okay,
So,
perfect.
it might be something that you want to look at, and you can tell me what you think of the previous study.
Okay.
I think that was done by Transpo.
Yes.
Yeah.
Diane, Sarah, any, Bart? Any other follow-on questions? We're excited.
It's
Thanks,
exciting.
Michele.
It's good for it to be going again. It was a long time it sat there.
Yes. After a lot of battles for years.
I heard a rumor that Belfair Stage 2 was on one of the lists.
35 million? Which I figured in the discussions I just had, that they're considering the meetup on this project.
Oh, the piece.
Yeah, that,
Yeah, because if you look at S4, you can see it goes on to 3 there. Sometimes.
Sorry about that.
Sorry.
Hope no one's having a stroke back there from all the flickering.
Yeah, it's, yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yeah, but if you saw it, that still shows that realignment through the Girl Scout camp there, which I know they're really unhappy about that, so.
but there's a couple alternatives that we'll recommend.
But that is where we left off, so
Yeah.
I just wanted you to know where we left off. That's why I put it in here. Doesn't mean that's how we'll build it. It just means that's what the EA was done on, and that's where we left off, so. Anyway, well, thank you.
Thank you,
Excellent.
Michele.
Thank you for coming.
Appreciate the update.
Sorry it was a little late.
Oh, that's okay.